Hello, everybody. How are we doing? All right. I see a bunch of people in the chat. They're ready for the torture session. Excuse me. I mean, math. So, guys, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, if you can hear me loud and clear. If you're like, oh my God, Stu, someone said, whose voice is this? This is the smooth, buttery voice of Stu. Welcome to the Stu Crew, because obviously, if you're asking whose voice is this, then you don't know me. You haven't had a session with me yet, so I'm in the mood to thoroughly disappoint you know. So you guys should be having a good time with me. So for those of you who are here for the first time live, welcome. What I want to do is I want to do a little bit of housekeeping, and of course I always do a little extra TLC in regards to the math when it comes to our situation in regards to what you should be expecting, what you should be experiencing, and all that kind of jazz. Because I always tell you guys, listen, there's a couple things, few housekeeping things I need to tell you. First and foremost, if you are here for the first time, okay, what I want you to do is give me a smiley face. I always like to see my first timers. I always like to see in the chat who's my first timers, who's experiencing this as a first timer here. Who is going to be entering into the torture chamber of math for the first time live with me? Hey there, Haley. Hey there, Christina. Ingrid, oh my God, I got a ton of first timers. Okay, so hopefully you don't hate me after this. Okay, so what I want to tell you is this: if you guys are first timers here watching live, just keep in mind this: if you are having any audio or video issues, make sure that your settings are set to 720p. And also, if you are experiencing that stuff, it's probably a you problem, not a Stu problem. So refresh your screen, hit pause if you need to at any time in this video, because we are going to be going through this, and I usually don't go back over the things numerous times, okay? So what happens is this: I'll go through it. If you want to, if you're like, oh, could you repeat that? Hit that rewind button. Also, we'll have a recording of these webinars live after the webinar goes live. And also, too, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you do type into the search topics, you'll be able to find our other wonderful torture sessions. All you have to do is type in math, and you can see I am your torturer. So I usually make sure that we go over different topics each and every time, just to kind of clear it up in regards to kind of giving you a breadth of knowledge. Okay, so if you look at some of the past ones, you'll get a little different topic each time. And tonight, what I'm going to tell you is this: I'm going to be going over amortization tables, and also going over figuring out taxes, and maybe if we have a little bit of time, we'll be doing some proration. If I hurt your brain tonight at all, what I want you to do is this: I want to make sure that you understand math is not for everyone, number one. Number two, you do not need math to pass the exam, okay? You do not need math to pass the exam. So if you are not getting it, do not try to force this. A lot of people put a lot of stress on this stuff in regards to the situation with the, trying to get all the knowledge as far as the math is concerned. So this is something that I will tell you, if it's just not coming to you, don't worry about it. Skip it, go over it. You'll probably be a 2 or 3 correct math problem as far as, your studies. And here's the thing: you might do 1,000,001 questions and then still be the same exact way, because you have such a strong foundational base in regards to what you're coming to the table with as far as your math knowledge. So that is the situation that I will tell you. And I see a whole bunch of people typing stuff into the chat. Okay, what I'll tell you is this: the stuff that we're going over tonight, okay, we're going to be going over an amortization table. And here's what I'm going to tell you about an amortization table. Few things, okay? Number one, when you get to your testing center, if you're taking it at a state testing center, okay, there's going to be, you're going to want to ask your proctor. Okay, so the person that you're going to see at the front table, or that's going to sign, that's going to give you all of your information and kind of check in and tell you the rules and all that kind of stuff. The first thing that you want to do is you want to ask them, hey, are there amortization table questions on the test? Do we need to use an amortization table? And if so, where is it located? Why? The reason why is going to be this, okay? They're human, okay? They're human, and they may forget, overlook, or just simply not remember to tell you this, okay? You don't want to be that student. Now, some people are asking me in a couple states, hey, do you know if you need this? California, you will not need amortization tables. You will not have an amortization table question. You do not have math on yours, okay? I also know for a fact New York State does not do an amortization table. So I figured I'd let a couple you already know, because I see a couple people in the chat, and I will tell you this. Someone said that they're mean, the proctors at the testing center. Yeah, they usually, they don't get the cream of the crop. They don't get typically people who are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So that's why, like I said, after they're done doing their spiel, make sure you ask them, where is the amortization table? And then people are also chiming in with their state. Listen to what I'm going to tell you. If I didn't mention your state is explicitly not using an amortization table, you're good. Okay, this is stuff you would need to know. So what I'm going to ask you guys, this is the group participation section of our torture session. Tell me in the chat, what the heck is an amortization table? What are we looking at here? Okay, so what are we looking at here? Every state but New York and California are going to need this. So if you put Texas, yes. More than likely you're going to have an amortization table question. Yes. So, and Self-Love said, pass the exam. Yeah, absolutely. Down one. So tell me, what is an amortization table? So someone said monthly payments. Yeah, it calculates monthly payments. But what are the amortization table? What was I going to say? What are these payments of? So, like, you're saying these are the monthly payments. Okay, so what's included in this? Oh, here we go. This is an excellent answer. Regular payments of principal and interest. Boom. Absolutely. It's principal and interest payments, right? So listen to what I'm about to tell you. Listen. This is showing you, and this is going to help you. This is going to help you understand how we do the math. There is absolutely only 2 questions they can ask you on an amortization table. 2. It's only one piece of arithmetic, and they could either work it forwards or they could work it backwards. They can't ask you anything else other than that. They can make it more complicated and add other things to it, but it is one of 2 questions they're going to ask. So this is showing you the monthly payments per $1,000 of a mortgage, okay? So let me show you. I'm going to give you an example. Think of this as a multiplication table, okay? When you fully understand and grasp what this is showing you, it will help you answer both of the questions that you will get on the test, okay? It's like giving a multiplication table to a 4-year-old that has never seen it before in their entire life. You understand how to use a multiplication table. They don't. They look at it and it looks like Chinese to them. You look at it and go, it gives you the answers right there. So same thing with the amortization table. This is going to give you all the answers right here. This is a very easy question to ask. So what happens is, first they're going to come up with a term. They're going to say 20 years, okay? So the buyer is approved for 20 years at 3%. So this is the one side. This is the other side, okay? So once we know that it is 3% for 20 years, okay, we know that this number right here is the monthly payments for $1,000 of a mortgage, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my screen up just a wee bit so you can see this right over here. This number right here, I just put it bigger on a Post-it note. This is the number that we're going to use for the rest of our arithmetic that we're going to do, which is basically we're working on the assumption that the word problem that we got was that the buyer is approved for a 20-year loan at 3%. Now, they'll even tell you in the question, okay? They'll tell you in the question, use the amortization table, okay? Use the amortization table, okay? So here's what's going to happen. They're either going to start you with a monthly budget that the buyer could afford for principal and interest, or we are going to start you with a loan amount. So what I'm going to do is verbally walk you through the arithmetic, because I want you to see all this up here and I want you to be able to understand it, look at it, reference it while I'm kind of talking you through this, okay? So what I'm going to do is actually, you know what? I think I could put a Post-it note right in the middle, okay? Because that's A-okay. We could do that. Look, boom. We're going to put it right here. So here's what we're going to do, okay? We're going to start with the monthly budget. So here's what the question would give you in some manner, shape, or form. How much can a buyer afford if their budget for principal and interest is $1,750 per month if they're approved for a 20-year at 3%? So, does anyone know what our first step is going to be? Tell me if you know in the chat. What do you think our first step's going to be? And Rosa said, so glad we're going over this. I love the name Rosa. That is absolutely a very, very pretty name. And I will tell you, I will tell you this. I'm glad that you're glad that we're going over this. And Amanda said, I had a question like this on the exam. Yes, I know, because I told you, unless you're in California or in New York, you are going to get amortization table questions, and they are literally going to be exactly like this. It's either one of two ways, okay? So a couple people said this. Someone said, find the 20 years. No, don't need to find the 20 years, because here's what happens is we found that amount already, okay? So we have the 20-year 3%. So we know that it is 5.54598, okay? That is, listen to what I'm about to tell you. That is the monthly payments per $1,000 of a loan, okay? So we don't know the loan amount. We are trying to figure out, okay? We are trying to figure out what would the loan amount be. So someone else said we're going to multiply by 12. No, we have two monthly numbers. We have the monthly payments per $1,000 of the loan, and we also have their budget. So watch what we're going to do. I'm going to help you. Don't you worry. That's why I'm here. That's why Joe pays me the big bucks. Ha, ha, ha. And you could also type in the chat so that Joe could see this later. I do deserve a raise for doing all the math torture sessions, right? So we're going to do 1750, and we're not going to divide by 1,000. We're going to divide it by 5.54598. Now listen here. I'm only working on, listen to what I'm about to tell you. I am only working on what I have told you that we're working on so far. We're not going on to any of the other Post-it notes, okay? Because I'm going to walk you through each one. What we're trying to figure out here, okay, step by step, is this. How much can they afford if they're approved for a 20-year at 3% and their monthly budget for principal and interest is $1,750. Don't look at the other questions because I'm going to get to them. I promise you. So we're going to divide the $1,750 by the monthly payments. Why? Well, we want to know how many of those little monthly payments we could fit into our budget, okay? How many of those little monthly payments could we fit into our budget? So let's figure that out. Let's take a look and see, okay? So, and listen and think about this. I want you to think about this because a lot of you guys are going forward with this and you're getting things and you don't know what you're getting. So I want you to take your math questions slow, take inventory of what you know, and always keep in the back of your mind what you are looking for, okay? So $1,750 divided by 5.54598 equals 315.54, okay? So what is that? What the heck is that number, Stu? That is how many times our monthly payments per $1,000 of the mortgage fit into our monthly budget. And what we're working on here, And Selena asks, can you repeat the full math question? Very easy. We're working on the blue Post-it note. How much could they afford in regards to a loan amount? Okay. Leonidas asks, what about escrow money? Nope. Simple question. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Bottom line is this. We are just simply talking about how much they could afford as far as a loan, okay? So, this monthly budget is what they could afford monthly. They're approved for a 20-year at 3%. And then what I would tell you is this. They divide that payment, okay, into that monthly budget. And here's what we are going to do. It fits into it 315.54 times, all right? Then what we are going to do is take that and multiply it by 1,000, okay? And that's how much they could afford in regards to a loan amount. So here's what's going to happen. So someone asked me, where did I get 1750 from? My brain. That's the question. The 1750 came from my head. That was the question that we're starting with, because we have to start with something. So that's basically like saying, where did question 54 come from? It came from a guy who wrote it. So what happens is this, and let me walk you through this again, okay? It's someone said pretend. Yes, this is pretend. So the question I asked, and I'm going to go over this one more time as far as the steps, because then we're going to do this backwards, okay? So here's the situation. The monthly budget is $1,750. I told you that they are approved for a 20-year at 3%. So we go to the amortization table and we figure out what is that monthly payment, okay? What is that monthly payment per $1,000 of the mortgage? Per $1,000 on the mortgage. So we figure out how many of those we could fit into the budget. It fits into our monthly budget 315.54 times. Then we go to multiply it by 1,000, because that number, the 5.54598, represents the payment per $1,000 of the mortgage. Now, we're going to do this the other way, so that we're going to go to the right-hand side, because sometimes that makes it gel a little bit better for you, okay? So let me put up another Post-it note, and we're going to do the other question they could ask you in regards to an amortization table, okay? So here's the other question that they could ask you. They will start with, and listen to what I'm about to say to you, because we first did this, now we're going to go over to the right-hand side. This question is, what would your monthly payments be on a $375,000 loan if they're approved for a 20-year at 3%? Use the amortization table. So we're going to use the same number here, because we're using the table, we're using the same number. The reason why is because it makes it easier, because I have it already there, okay? So now watch. I'm going to show you. What happens is this. That monthly payment per $1,000 of a mortgage, if the mortgage was $2,000, it would be 2 times that. If it was $3,000, it would be 3 times that, times the 5.54598. So what we have to do, okay, is we have to, okay, take our loan amount and divide it by, okay, so we're going to take the $375,000 and we're going to divide it by 1,000. Why? Because the amortization table shows you the monthly payments per $1,000 of the loan. Now, someone asked, why don't we round up the 5.54598? Great question. If the question asks you to round up, do that. You might have to. However, we don't need to round it up without being prompted to. So unless the question says to round it, then don't. Okay? So we find out that there are 375 1,000s in 375,000. Then what we do is we multiply 375 by 5.54598. And what is that going to give you? A lot of you guys are already typing into the chat. Look at you little smarty pants. 2,079.74. Now, here's what I'm going to ask you. Now, do you see? So here's the thing. This is the formula one way, where you start with a monthly budget. This is the formula when you start with a loan amount. Everything that you see on an amortization table is per $1,000 of a loan. That's where people get tripped up. That's where people get confused. That's where people don't understand how I pulled $1,000 out. Where are you getting that from, Stu? The chart is showing you the numbers per $1,000 of a loan. So I'm going to ask you this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably do one more on each side, walk you through it again, and then go on to another question type if you get this. So guys, type in the chat if you have any questions, because I'd be more than happy to answer them right now, so that, because if you have that question, someone else might have that question. And again, if you're stumped, if this isn't coming to you, if this is one of those things that you're like, this is hard, come back to it, slow it down, see where you're getting tripped up, okay? Would they ask a question like this? If I make $54,000 a year, Mary, it depends. You got to give me, you put ... you got to give me more context there. Okay. So that is the situation with that. And Amanda said, are all amortization tables created equal? No. So it doesn't make sense to memorize this. They're going to be different depending on the equalization factors that they use. And you don't need to know that, because you don't need to know. That's way too much information for you. What you need to understand is they basically give you this cheat sheet. You need to know how to use it. So let's take a look at another example. So someone asked, how do you remember the formulas? That's like one of those things. It's like, how do you remember multiplication tables? How do you remember things? Some people get it and some people don't. I mean, and I hate to say it like that, but that's why, listen, you have to say this about me. I'm always honest whenever I do the math. I always tell you guys, I go, you're going to get lost. Like, there is absolutely no way that hundreds of you guys are all going to be with me on this. That's why I tell you guys, I'm like, hey, if I officially fry your brain, come back to this. You know, take this at your own pace. That's why we put a lot of these videos out there, and I give you that kind of prep right up front. I kind of give you that warning, because I know that this is tough, but I want to try to help you as best as I can. And the problem is that I can't be the perfect conduit for everybody, okay? So, yeah, Ingrid said I would need an amortization table to do this. 100%, okay? You can't do this without an amortization table or a lot more information. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do the first question again, but we're going to use the bottom number, okay? So, here's the question. Listen to me. Listen with your ears. You ready? The buyer could afford $1,545, okay? And situation is this. $1,545. They're approved for a 20-year at 3%, okay? And what happens is this. I'm going to use the same number because I told you I have it right down here. So that's what we did. We just went to the amortization table, figured out that's the monthly payments per 1,000. And now they're going to say how much, okay, how much could they afford as far as a loan amount. So we're looking for a loan amount. Like, hey, tell the realtor how much can they afford as far as a loan amount. So what we do is we take the 1,545 and we divide it by the monthly payments, okay? And that would be 5.545 5.54598 because we want to know how many times does that fit into the budget, right? We want to know that. So let's take a look and see how many times that fits into the budget. So 1,545 divided by 5.54598 is 278.58. Now, listen to what I'm going to tell you. Put your numbers into your calculator multiple times. You will have the Butterfingers. So, what I'm going to tell you is put your numbers in the calculator. Someone said, did you say Texas Centers give this to you? Make sure that they ask before you go into the test that if they have an amortization table, where to locate it, okay? Where to locate it, because each testing center, each situation could be potentially different. And I ask you that because it's something that there's sometimes where they forget to give it to you and you feel awkward or you don't realize that you need the amortization table to answer these questions. You cannot answer it without them, okay? So then what we do is we take the 278.58 and we multiply it by 1,000 because the 5.54598 is representative of $1,000 of the mortgage. So it would be the loan they could afford is $278,580. Okay? So let's look at working it when we have a loan amount. Okay? So the loan amount that we will get is this. Okay? What would my payment be on a $250,000 loan, okay, if they're approved for a 20 years, okay, for a 20-year at 3%, okay, at 3%. So we're working on the same number. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to take the loan amount and figure out how many 1,000s are in there, okay? And I could actually do that in my head, but I'm going to write it out for you guys because I'm telling you, writing it out sometimes, some of you guys are super visual, so I want to make sure you see that. So that's 250, okay? 250. Then I want to do this. Multiply 250 by our monthly payments, which is going to be 5.54598. That's going to give you monthly payments, principal, and interest 54598 times 250 equals 1,386.5. If we round, okay? So it looks like some people are celebrating because California is opening up tomorrow, the DRE. Hey, congrats. Awesome. That's great news. I know a lot of you guys in California have been waiting to take the test. So congrats. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to move off of this right now. So I hope you get this one. I hope that you see the two ways that they can work it. Because here's the thing. They can only give you one of those two questions. Start with the budget or start with a loan amount. Okay? So budget to get to a loan amount to get to a monthly payment. That's it. Okay? Can't work it any other way. Now, I promised you some... what did I promise you? I promised you taxes, right? So, hey, Stu, how good are you at the math? Well, I feel like I'm a professional torturer. I told you that. I'm a professional torturer. So watch this. Home sells for 300, let's just say it sells for 389,000. Okay? Then the tax, for tax purposes, that's what they would say. For tax purposes, the home is assessed at 43% to value. If the tax rate is 4.5 mils, what is the annual taxes? Okay, so guys, here's what I'm going to ask you, okay? What happens is this, okay? And I want you to type in the chat, what are we looking for here? What are we trying to solve for? Okay. So Marcia said both formulas you divided first and multiplied. Yes, but in the amortization table, but it's what I divided by that makes the difference. Okay. In the first one, I divided by the monthly payments. In the second one, I divided by the by 1,000, because it all depends on what you're trying to solve for. Okay, don't stick, and that's why if you notice something with me, I don't like to give you formulas and say, okay, you multiply and divide, and okay, you divide and then multiply. I try to show you, and it's a little different. Okay, some of your teachers might really make you rely on the T-bar method. They might make you rely on all these things. I try to make you see what everything is and how they kind of interact with each other so that you could use some critical thinking skills and you're not relying on, okay, amortization table, I know that this goes into this, or that I have to multiply then divide, because then what happens is you're just multiplying and dividing and you're not understanding why you're doing that. So what I try to do is I try to show you guys the why behind it. And I think that's very important. That's why each time we do a math question, I start with, what are we looking for? Okay? What are we looking for? So in this, a lot of you guys said to me, we're looking for the annual taxes. Okay? We're looking for the annual taxes. So guys, how do we calculate for annual taxes? What do we do when we're trying to find annual taxes? Does anyone know? And someone asked, do you use the amortization table for this? Nope. That was a good one. So here's what we do. You ready? Okay. So when we're finding the annual taxes, what we're going to do is the annual taxes are, and let me put it over here on this post-it note. You ready? So the annual taxes are the property taxes. Boom. Yeah. British Bowen. Yes. Here's what we're going to say. 100%. It's the assessed value, okay, multiplied by the tax rate. So to find out the annual taxes, it's the assessed value multiplied by the tax rate. So how do we figure out the assessed value in this question? How do we figure that out? Okay. How do we figure that out? Okay. How do we figure out the annual the assessed value? So right, we take 389,000 and multiply it by 0.43, which is representative of 43%, because I said that the home is assessed at 43%, okay? 43% of the value, okay? 389,000 times 0.43. That gives us an assessed value of 167,270. Okay? Now, we have to figure out the tax rate. What's a mill? What is a mill? A mill is what we put our pepper in, and then that's how we get fresh ground peppers. Stu, we know that it always goes back to food with you. It does. It does. Some fettuccine Alfredo, fresh cracked pepper. Making me hungry. So a mill is, let me write this down so that you see it. A mill is 1 over 1,000. So if it's 4.5 mils, if we had to get a decimal for this, because it makes it easier, right? It's 4.5 divided by 1,000. Okay? Now listen to what I'm going to tell you. Use your calculator. Do not rely on your brain to move decimal points. That's an awful way to do it, because, listen, we're going to just divide 4.5 by 1,000 and let that move the decimal points over, okay? So 4.5 divided by 1,000 equals 0.0045. That is our tax rate. So let's take a look at what we're going to do. We are going to then take our assessed value of 167,270 and multiply it by 0.0045. And that is going to give us our annual taxes, because the tax rate the tax rate multiplied by the assessed value will always give you the annual amount. You don't need to multiply by 12. You don't need to multiply by 360. You don't need to do any of that fanciness. No, 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 no. You don't need to. It's easier than you think it is. So 0.0045 times 167,270. What do you guys got? What do you guys got as an answer, huh? Let me see. Let's see what you got. Because 4,100,000. I'm just making sure I don't have butterfingers, right? Okay, because you guys are getting different answers than me. 752.72. Okay, 752.72. Okay, someone asked a great question. JR said, Stu, can you comment on what type of calculator we can use? In other words, can I use my iPhone 11? Oh, stop. No. You can't. No. You can't bring your iPhone in there. Are you kidding me? They're going to confiscate and they're going to basically. You're going to get a slight step up from an abacus. Basically, they're going to give you, if it costs more than $4 at your local drugstore or pharmacy or Walmart, you can't use that calculator. That's the simple answer. Oh my gosh, you'll make me cry. Could we use the iPhone 11? Oh, stop. No. They can't. You're going to, it's basic. I mean, you're basically, it is basically a simple calculator. Okay. Yeah, I see a bunch of you guys are celebrating about Callie. Yeah, I mean, so happy for you, Callie guys. And listen, I'm also going to say this. Thank you, Callie folks, for actually sitting in here and listening to this with me. In the online exam, they give you a version of a $1 calculator. Yeah, but that's pretty much, like I said, it is a slight step up from an abacus. Okay. So, let's talk about the schedule, guys. Listen, you made it through it with me. We did it. We got through the torture session. Look at you guys. Some of you probably are already, hitting the bottle. You're like, oh man, this is crazy. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Let's take a look at the schedule. Let's see what's coming up for the rest of the week, okay? No Texas Instrument calculators. No scientific calculators at all. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 12 p.m., Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. You're going to have Cynthia with certifications, designations for that agent school site. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that. That's awesome stuff, okay? Then we have vocab with Joe. He's going to be getting on there at 4 p.m. Pacific and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Vocab with Joe. Mwah, chef's kiss. It's amazing. Fantastic. Then Joe's getting up bright and early with you guys, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern. He's going to do LinkedIn 101. Do you know what LinkedIn is? I know what LinkedIn is, but guess what? He's going to tell you all about that. Then you're doing practice and disclosures at 7 p.m., 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with Cynthia. That's an amazing one. That's a lot of scenario-based questions, guys, so jump in that, all right? Then Friday, we're going to round out the weekend. You're going to be here with me for the double feature. So 12 p.m., 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we are going to be doing Negotiating to Win. How do you negotiate the heck out of something? I negotiate every single day with my wife. Sit there and say, I'll take out the garbage if you cook the dinner, all that kind of stuff, okay? And I'm going to tell you how to win every single time. I lose with my wife, but in business, I am going to tell you I win. And then at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be doing Facebook Friday. For those of you who do not know what Facebook Friday is, that's where I take all your questions, your concerns, your burning desires in regards to all the stuff you ask in the Facebook group. So I don't take all of it, but I take some of it, okay? And I help you guys out. I make it amazing, okay? And I try to help you out, okay? So for those of you guys who are asking questions, go ahead, go to the Facebook group, and you'll be able to see we do a lot of amazing stuff. Guys, I hope you like this, okay? Someone said that I'm hilarious. You're hilarious, too. You guys make me laugh, okay? I love doing this. I love doing this with you. And someone said I'm doing the money dance this morning. Yeah, so if you haven't seen my agent school webinar from earlier this morning, we were having a ton of laughs. So much more laughs than we had in math today. So, guys, thank you so much for doing this. Joseph, good luck on taking your exam tomorrow. I'm going to see you guys real soon. Have a great one.